In this video, I've got 10 reasons why you should absolutely buy a military Humvee. So let's bring some people up to speed here. My name is Quentin, I own Iron King Inc., and this is my M1152 HMMWV, or the Humvee. I bought this truck in Carson City, Nevada, and road tripped it over 400 miles back to my home in Bend, Oregon. Now, the military is famous for having acronyms for just about anything, and including the Humvee. So HMMWV, what does that stand for? High Mobility Multi-Purpose Wheeled Vehicle, or the Humvee. Now, on my videos, I usually spell it Humvee because it sounds like Humvee when you look it up on the internet, but it truly is HMMWV. Now, Humvees have been around since the late 80s, and they've made them clear through the later 2000s. This model, being an M1152, is a 2007 model Humvee. Now, there's pros and there's cons to that. So a lot of the pros with having a later Humvee, or a 2007 model, is this model is a 6.5 liter turbo diesel, as well as the 4L80E automatic transmission with lockup. So it has a bunch of upgrades versus the earlier models of the HMMWV. So number one of the best reasons to buy a Humvee versus like an H1 Hummer is the cost. You can get one of these trucks from the government auctions for a quarter of the price it would cost to buy the civilian version, or the H1 Hummer. And I just think these look way better than an H1, even though they're kind of sort of the same truck, but not really. I think these look way cooler with the camo paint, mil-spec parts on it. They also have a pretty sparse interior in them, but that just adds to the coolness factor of the Humvee. Now, like I mentioned earlier, the Humvee was made from the late 80s into the mid 2000s. So that gives people an opportunity to really get the truck that they want at a very, very competitive price. You can get the early 90s, late 80s trucks for $2,000 to $3,000. The later trucks can tend to get from $10,000 to $15,000. That's still less than a quarter of the cost of the civilian version, or the H1. A basic H1 with a 6.2 liter diesel, non-turbo, and a 3-speed transmission can cost upwards of $40,000. I think the HMMWV version that you can buy for $20,000 is miles ahead of an old H1. And like I said, they just look way cooler. Now, the Humvee first started production in 1985, with the military receiving about 55,000 vehicles. The production is still ongoing, however, it's very limited due to the military phasing these vehicles out in favor of more modern platforms. However, this is great news for would-be buyers of the Humvee because they've made so many of them. Buyers really have the opportunity to get the lower on the totem pole earlier trucks and the higher on the totem pole later trucks, like this 2007 M1152. Earlier versions of the Humvee came out with the 6.2 liter diesel V8 engine from General Motors with a 3-speed turbo hydromatic 400 transmission. This later truck has the 6.5 liter diesel serpentine belt with a 4L80E transmission with lockup, which really makes these things drive so much better down the road than the earlier trucks. I had an earlier truck that was a 3-speed, 6.2 liter diesel, and man, you could not get that thing past 55 miles an hour. This truck will do 65 to 70 miles an hour with ease and with 40-inch tires. No problem. That turbo diesel and that lockup transmission really scoot this thing down the road. And let's get real here. People are not buying these trucks as daily drivers. So having a lot of earlier trucks, mid-range trucks, and later trucks gives buyers a pretty big opportunity to save a lot of money versus buying a civilian H1 Hummer, which these are kind of the same platform of truck, but they're not really the same. The H1 Hummers are kind of a vanilla version of the Humvee. They have nice interiors, they're quieter, they're not as rugged as the HMMWV, but they're very, very expensive to buy. You could probably buy 5 of these trucks per one H1 Hummer. And for what you're getting out of the later model HMMWVs, I think you could upgrade this truck to a more comfortable ride and have a basically H1 Hummer for a quarter of the price of just going out and buying one. Number 2 out of 10 reasons why you should buy a military Humvee: off-road capabilities. Humvees were built for one reason and one reason alone, and that is off-road capabilities to get troops into the harshest environments and out of them. This truck was built for off-road. It's equipped with portal axles, independent suspension on all 4 corners, center brakes, and most importantly, these trucks have what you call a track lock system. So the track lock is basically a locker system between both front and rear differentials. And the way it works is you would put your truck in low range, first gear, reverse, doesn't matter what gears you're in, you just need to be in low range, and you'll have this little light that turns on, and I'll show you that now. We can see our little track lock light. I'm gonna step on the brake, put it into low range, and you'll see our track lock system light up. Now, the track lock system was super advanced for its time when it first came out. It's a torsion locker system between the front and rear differentials, and it engages when you apply the brake. So what you're doing is you're basically locking the differentials together, creating a true 4-wheel drive vehicle, which is awesome to have from a stock platform. So you can buy this truck. It's got 37-inch tires from the factory. It's got lockers from the factory. It's got great low-range gears. This truck is ready to go off-road right now, right when you buy it, right when you put batteries on it, right when you take it off-road, it is ready to go. And with having portal axles and full independent suspension, it has the highest ground clearance of any production vehicle for its time. Just look at this. You could probably put a 5-gallon bucket right here, right in the middle of this thing, and drive right over it. Number 3, the looks of the Humvee. Just take a look at this thing. This truck is probably one of the most iconic off-road vehicles ever made. You could be anywhere in the world with a Humvee and people will know exactly what it is. Just that boxy design of the Humvee really makes it a unique off-road vehicle. And they have a lot of different arrangements of the Humvee. This one was arranged with a slant back, and it's actually not standard. This was put on the vehicle at a later date. It's also got an aftermarket roof on it, but you can basically configure these vehicles any way you want. Just great looking vehicles here. Iconic off-roaders, and I would argue probably more iconic than the Willys Jeep at this point. There was so many of these made. They're still in production now. They're used all over the world in any kind of environment. These trucks are absolutely awesome looking. Number 4, title and registration fees. Now, I know a lot of people are very worried about this when they buy these trucks from the government auction because they come with what they call an SF-97, which is basically a form from the government that says we have this vehicle or piece of equipment and you are now the new proud owner of it. Now, me living in the state of Oregon, the DMV actually has a special designation for all Humvees as special use vehicles. And let's face it, people who are buying Humvees, these are not daily drivers. These are to go have fun with every once in a while, take them to parades, go to lunch, go on a cruise. They're not really a daily driver, and a special use vehicle designation is perfect for these vehicles. So what you'll do is you'll take your SF-97 into your local DMV, bring the truck with you because there will be a VIN inspection. They'll do the VIN inspection, you'll fill out some paperwork, and with special use vehicles in Oregon, the fee's less than $300 forever. You only have to pay one time for your plate, and you get to drive your Humvee around pretty much as you want. You're not supposed to use it as a special use designation. You're not supposed to drive it every single day or use it to transport persons back and forth to work, but you can pretty much use it for anything else that you desire. Off-roading, going to club events, going to parades. It's the perfect way to show off these vehicles. And with a special use designation, it's a great price, it lasts forever, and it was super easy to get this thing titled. It was not a problem at all. Now, I can't say for other states, but I can definitely say for the state of Oregon, titling a Humvee is no problem at all. Don't be worried about it. Get your SF97 from the government auction, bring your truck and your SF97 form to the DMV. They'll title it the same day, give you registration for it, give you a temporary tag, and they will mail you a permanent plate for it. Like I said, less than $300 forever for this vehicle. You just can't drive it every day, which we're not driving these every day. Number 5, parts and accessories. Now, this is something that I'm going to backtrack on a little bit because in my last video, I said that parts were kind of hard to get. But after a little bit of research and owning this vehicle for about a month, parts are really not a problem for these vehicles. Now, being from AM General, they're the company that builds these trucks. They're an offshoot of General Motors. A lot of these parts are readily available at your local parts store. So I actually had a water pump go out on this truck. And although it was kind of rough to take everything apart to fix that water pump, I ended up being able to buy the water pump at a local Napa store, put it in the same day. Although it was, kind of rough to go take it all apart and put it in, it was not hard to find the part. And a lot of the stuff, your axle hubs here, they're 8 on 6.5, so basically standard wheels of any kind, as long as they're the 8 on 6.5 bolt pattern, will bolt onto your truck. A lot of the engine accessories on these trucks, other than the generator, are all GM parts that you can find. And if they are Hummer specific parts or Humvee specific parts, there's a lot of websites online that offer these parts. I just put this bumper on the truck. I went to Midwest Military Vehicles and was able to purchase this bumper. I put a set of wheels and tires on it, which I'm very proud of. These are 40-inch Maxxis Trepadors on trail-ready beadlocks, all bolted directly onto the Humvee, no issues at all. These trucks are also factory equipped with a winch cradle here, so you can pretty much buy any winch you want, bolt it to the back of this, put a fair lead on it, and you're gonna have yourself a winch-ready truck. They're pretty much ready to go. Put a couple bolts in it. They are 24 volts, so you do need a 24 volt winch, which I actually think is better because the 24 volt winches have a lot more power than the 12 volt winches. So parts availability and aftermarket accessories, definitely not a problem for the Humvee. They're pretty easy to find as long as you know where to look, but Google is your friend with these trucks. And there's also a lot of forums and Facebook pages that show these trucks and have a lot of vendors on there where you can get parts from. Number 6, we're gonna backtrack here a little bit again, contradicting the video that I posted earlier about 10 reasons why you shouldn't buy one of these vehicles, and that is hours or miles on these trucks. So being from a government auction, a lot of these vehicles have no time on them. They have very minimal hours, very minimal miles. And for the equivalent H1 truck, to find a civilian H1 with 10,000 miles on it, you're gonna be paying $100,000, $200,000 for one of those vehicles, when one of these vehicles with 700 hours, 10,000 miles on it, you can pick these up all day for $10,000 to $15,000 to $20,000. It just really depends on how they were equipped with hard doors, slant back, did they have a roof? It really depends on what kind of accessories are bolted on the trucks for the price that they sell for. And you can see down here, the truck is already marking its territory from another leak that has sprung, this time from the power steering pump, which kind of leads me back to the 10 reasons why you shouldn't buy a Humvee, and that is, again, hours and miles. Yes, they're very low hours, yes, they're very low miles, but they do sit forever, and when you start driving these trucks around, you're gonna have a lot of seals and gaskets that start leaking. But as long as you're somewhat mechanically inclined, fixing leaky seals and gaskets shouldn't be a problem for you. These trucks are, I wouldn't say easy to work on, but it's not like working on an airplane or anything like that. If you have a basic toolkit and basic knowledge of vehicles, you will be able to fix this truck. Number 7, durability. These trucks are absolutely overkill for what they are. So again, military vehicle, everything is overbuilt for what it is. Just look at these A-arms on this truck. Solid steel, coil spring, inch thick portal boxes. These trucks are overkill for what they are. The winch cradle, 1/4 inch thick. The frame, everything is nothing but beefy on these trucks and will definitely last for anything you can throw it up against. I just ran this truck with 40-inch tires on a pretty hard trail up here in the Pacific Northwest. 0 problems whatsoever. And these trucks were built with a lot of heavy-duty parts, just like having the 4L80E transmission and the 6.5-liter turbo diesel that this one has. Great transmission, great engine for what it is. It doesn't make a lot of power, but pretty reliable, and definitely scoots this thing down the road. I mean, just look at the steering links here. Super beefy steering links. The steering box itself, giant. Look at that pitman arm on there. Everything is pretty overkill for this truck. Your drive shaft that runs to the front diff. I believe these are 1310 U-joints. They could be 1350s, but I think they're 1310s. Everything is super huge and big. Look at that frame, fully boxed in. Not sure how thick it is, but everything seems pretty beefy on these trucks. You can beat on them pretty hard before they break. These trucks are also super simple, which definitely helps out with the reliability. There's just nothing really to break in here. You have a steering wheel, turn signals, lights, and a kill switch. And you got a couple levers over here, but again, super heavy duty. Simplicity and durability is the Humvee. Number 8, these trucks are just like Legos. Every part is removable, every part is interchangeable from other trucks, which creates a pretty cool vehicle that you can customize yourself. These trucks can be slant backs, trucks, they can be single cabs, they can be soft tops, they can be pretty much whatever you make it. So you can pretty much customize these vehicles with no limits. A pretty cool option on these trucks is the door system. So they're removable just like a Jeep. So you can undo this right here, slide the door off, and you're done. Then you got yourself a pretty nice summer cruiser. This all unbolts. You can buy soft tops really cheap for these trucks. You can also get what they call the helmet top, which is a higher roof version of this, so you can have more space. And you can also get the ambulance version of this truck, which has a huge overhead roof for these and adds a lot of storage space. So if you want to go camping with it, or if you want to use it as a work vehicle, or whatever your heart desires, you can customize these vehicles to basically whatever your needs are. I really like these removable doors. That way, during the summer, if you want to go for a nice little cruise, pop the doors off, have some fun with the family, bring it back, pop the doors on, and you're ready for winter. Number 9, rust-proof parts. These trucks were made to go anywhere in any country at any time. So the military designed these vehicles to be pretty rust-proof for, environments with a lot of moisture, a lot of salt. This truck has a lot of aluminum pieces on it. So all this is aluminum. Down here is aluminum. I believe the regular roofs are aluminum. This one is steel because it's aftermarket, but I believe a lot of the factory roofs were aluminum parts. The hood is fiberglass and very lightweight. This, aluminum. People always say that these trucks weigh 20,000 pounds and are slow and sluggish. And that would be true for trucks that are fully armored. Now, being from the government auction, these trucks have to have all the armor removed on them, which makes them really light. So all these holes that you see here in these trucks, and it spans all the way over here. There's also places for armor to bolt on underneath of the truck. The glass is not armored anymore, so it's a lot thinner than ballistics glass. Again, the windshield, regular glass, lightweight. A lot of the armor is removed from the front of the vehicle and in the back of the vehicle. So, being made of aluminum, they're pretty rust proof, especially if you live in places like Pennsylvania or the Salt Belt, or I think they call it the Rust Belt. These trucks should hold up pretty well for what they are, having a lot of aluminum pieces on it. You should be able to just wash it off. Fiberglass, never have to worry about it. The frame, yes, it's made of steel. The A-arms, yes, they're made of steel. but a lot of the pieces here are rust proof and lightweight, contradictory to what a lot of people say about these trucks. I weighed this at a scale, and as it sits right now with 40-inch tires on it, it weighs 7,600 pounds with my entire family in it. I think that's pretty good. I think an F350 right now weighs over 10,000 pounds. So having all of this vehicle weigh 7,600, I think is pretty good. So that brings us to the final one, number 10, and I have the hood open for a reason, and that's because the powertrain on these vehicles is awesome. Now, they're no H1 Alpha with a Duramax. No, they're not hot rods. No, they were not meant to go 100 miles an hour, but the stock powertrain on these trucks is pretty heavy duty for what they are. This truck is equipped with a turbo 6.5 diesel engine, serpentine belt, a lot of modern parts and pieces on this truck. I think it makes about 300 foot-pounds of torque, which, again, we're not building hot rods here. We just want it to go down the road. And with 300 foot-pounds of torque, this truck will definitely get you where you want to go. Now, 6.5 turbo diesel is also great for us as the consumer because these engines were used in a lot of civilian vehicles. So if you need to buy things like a water pump like I had to buy, you can just go to Napa and get it. Now, there are a few parts and pieces that are military specific. It does have a specific serpentine belt that you need to go and get. It does have a specific alternator or generator that's military specific. I believe you can buy the AC compressor like at a Napa store or, you know, any parts place. But there's definitely some drawbacks to it, but I definitely think that the upside of having a 6.5 liter turbo diesel outweighs the drawbacks of having to buy a very limited amount of military specific parts. And with a 6.5 turbo diesel, you also get that very iconic Humvee sound. Now, with this transmission being a 4L80E, it also has lockup, which makes it an awesome transmission for highway use. This truck, other than the noise that you get inside the cab, will do 70 miles an hour, no problem down the highway. You're not gonna get the best fuel economy, but you can at least do highway speeds. Now, you gotta be careful with the earlier trucks that were a turbo 400 and a 6.2 diesel. Again, not bad power plants, they just weren't really meant to go down the highway. So max speed out of those older trucks is 45 to 55 miles an hour if you're in neutral going down a hill. So if you're in the market for a Humvee, I would definitely opt to buy a later truck with the turbo diesel in it. And you can tell that they're turbo diesel with this extended front end on them. So as long as they have this piece in the front, you know you got yourself a turbo diesel truck. They have upgraded cooling systems. Usually the upgraded transmission is standard in all of these trucks, and I believe it's standard in a couple of the earlier trucks too, but at least you know if you have that nice aluminum extended front end, you're getting that turbo diesel motor, which will definitely help with drivability for these trucks. Now, I mentioned earlier in the video that these trucks have portal axles. That's super awesome for off-roading and ground clearance, but it's also great for durability. So you have your differential in the middle of the vehicle. You have an axle shaft that goes to your portal box. And when you have a portal box, you get gear reduction in here. And gear reduction is great for lessening the strain on pieces like axles, differentials, gear teeth, brakes. Having portals definitely beefs up the powertrain on these trucks. Not only does it add a bunch of ground clearance, it also adds a bunch of strength to your axle shafts and your diff and your transmission. It basically puts a lot less strain on the entire vehicle having portal axles. Now that's gonna wrap up my video of 10 reasons why you definitely should buy a Humvee. Now I know you guys had a field day with me in the comments last time on my last video when I said 10 reasons why you shouldn't buy one. So if you have any questions or comments or concerns, or if I said something wrong about this vehicle, please have a field day with me again and throw it down in the comment section. For me, I'm gonna wrap up the video right here, and I hope you learned something about these trucks. I definitely am excited and happy that I purchased a Humvee because it's something that I really wanted for a long time, and it's something I can use out wheeling, take the family out, go to dinner with it, not use it every day, but it's definitely an iconic vehicle that I've always wanted to have. So with that, guys, I'm gonna wrap the video up. Appreciate you watching. I'll see you in the next one.